At the eve of a relatively important day in American history, we've arrived in Vegas for the after party. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 3 of the NEF1 Season 9 Championship. This week, we are going to the second out of 3 races in the United States. We are heading to Las Vegas for the Vegas Grand Prix, the second ever time we've raced at this circuit in NEF1. And this is going to be an incredibly exciting one with the new 18-minute qualifying format as well on the track that is prime for overtaking down the longest straight in Formula 1, down the Vegas Strip. Overtaking is going to be plenty. It's going to be hard to defend. It is going to be strategic racing all the way through. If you lose the DRS in the race, you are screwed, basically. We saw the effect of the DRS last week out. When Matt lost it, he lost a lot of seconds in just a few laps. We can expect that times 5 tonight. Both the Williams are heading out early, Spenclose and Squidge for the second time together this season. After Spenclose missed race 1, we are almost a full lobby tonight. However, Matty Adam 16 not racing tonight, unfortunately, which is going to put his championship campaign on halt. His teammate, however, Mr. Wilco, is 4th out on track behind the Sauber of ABT. ABT took his first points this season last time out in the United States in COTA after a very, very good performance there as well. It was a bit of a weird race, COTA. A lot of strategy at play, but a lot of that type of racing where you sit behind each other waiting for the last lap. But it didn't quite work out last time. Nasi took the win of the race on the very last lap. He was able to hold off Tess's onslaught and hold on to P1. Tess actually fell to P3 after a post-race penalty for an incident with Nasi on that final lap, promoting Squidge up to P2. And Williams now relatively high up in the constructors, but we'll look at that in a little bit of time. Now, both the Williams should be coming up to the line relatively soon, but Squidge is going to go first of the two, and he's going to be first across the line, which means he gets his lap shown. He's going to be coming out on the start-finish straight just then as we start this first run of qualifying. And most people have come out of the pit lane apart from Ipstu, Jamar, and JV8. Hello everyone watching, hopefully you'll be enjoying this one. We've got 15 minutes of qualifying here in Las Vegas to set the grid for a race with a grid order. Probably won't really matter too much unless you're in the middle of that DRS train, which could be a pain if you get stuck. So then, Squidge 2017, riding that curb quite aggressively, which you can do on this game. Not too aggressive cabs around this place, evidently. So he also rides that one and that one. Okay, so you can be quite aggressive on the cabs around this place. Squidge still looking for his first win of the season. Got close in the United States last week. Out in the United States, COTA, I should say. It was still in the United States. It got close in COTA last week, but just quite wasn't able to get that extra 10th per lap that he probably would need in order to hold on. He fell through into P2 by the end of it, but he did have a little moment towards the back end of the race, which sent him down a couple of places. Otherwise, might just have been able to pick up that win. But that is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Squidge 2017 now coming up to the last couple of corners on this lap, and it's a 1:15, 16, 17 heading into the final few corners. That looked relatively tidy for him, so Squidge now is going to set us a bank lap. We'll have no idea whether this is good enough. First time round this track on this game. What's going to be? Sticks it inside 131.378, and his teammate is not completing this lap. BT though took pole last time we went around this place. He's not going to take pole with this lap because he's been invalidated. Mr. Wilco is going to set the second time of the session, 1:33.058, so quite a big deficit there as we've got a McLaren coming through to start a flying lap. Jamar actually took the win last time we went racing here. Then we have an Alpine of Wien who's just started his flying lap, and Djokovic has just completed his, so that is close between Squidge and Djokovic. Separated by a couple of hundredths of a second. Squidge with the advantage. Snicks are about half a second behind Djokovic. He is in third. Where is his teammate? He is in the pit lane, just coming in. Probably not had the best of laps. Darren Stahl is running out his first lap of this session. as we can confirm as run speed now in the Haas permanently is at 132.547 and Sam Obama 33.189. So Darren's going to be next across the line now. What's he going to be able to do? 133.130 puts him in P6, and I believe a hybrid's about to come across the line for a 34. Both the Ferraris, 131.076 for Nasi. That is 3 tenths clear of provisional pole position. Where is his championship rival? Quickest out of anyone. Tess, for goodness sake, you said you wasn't feeling good around this place, and you go and do this. It's an absolute disgrace, the amount of sandbagging you do before the races, but I absolutely adore your pace. That is a massively good lap from Tesvat to just edge out Nasi for that provisional P1 slot. Times are raining down now as well. Noah not getting good lap time in 139.557. We now have Wigan up into the top 10 as well with a 132.612. Jamar's up there with a 132.563, just shy of run speed. Iwat's decent around here as well, 32.009 into the top 7. BT has come through for 138.895. So then now we're just waiting for lap times from JV8, Spenclose and Recon. All those three are out on Outlast with about 11-12 minutes left to go in this session. But Tess is looking good so far. What is the gap? See if we can get that up. The gap is about a tenth and a half. So it's gonna be an ask for Nasi to beat that time, but it absolutely can be done. As Dominic Gokart saying, petition to force Tess to use only one hander in the season. I might potentially be onto something. Feel I might just handicap him a little bit too much for it to be exciting though. If we could just handicap him by maybe a 10 for 2 in qualifying, then it'd be amazing. Well, at least this qualifying session. It has been a close battle so far. Neither Tess or Nasi has been able to run away with a race yet, and I suspect none of them is going to be able to run away with this one as well. Such is the nature of racing on this game. I say we have JV8 just coming up to that long third sector. Which is basically all flat, 56.990 going through that second sector and onto the Vegas Strip. Now, this is where you need straight line speed in order to punch your way up. See, beat his left session. We'll work on getting him invited in just one moment. We should be remaining in the pit lane for the time being. So we go, and JV8 is just coming up to the line as of now, and just see Dust will be getting beaten in right back. So then JV8 is about to come across the line for a 133.852, good enough for P15, not quite getting close to Sam or Darren's style, though it'll be a bit disappointed with that. As here we go, Spenclose about to come across the line on an invalidated lap. And how is Recon doing? He's just started a flying lap that he absolutely needs to complete because time's running out in this session. We're halfway through, 9 minutes 18 to go the last time I saw the clock. Now 9:10 to go. Running out of time for more than 2 runs now. So really need to get going. The question is, what does Spenclose now do? He's on a mission to complete this run, get in, and probably one final run coming into the session. But he needs to get a bank lap in now, though. A bank lap for him should be somewhere around those 132s, low 132s, high 131s. So he just needs to get that lap in to have some piece of security, so you don't end up finishing the session as low down as 18th, 19th, 17th. Williams at the moment involved in the Constructors' Championship battle as well. As Nasi's out on track, so is Squidge. He's actually on a fast lap. And he is right behind Spenclose at the moment. The question is Spenclose going to sacrifice this run potentially to aid and abet his teammate a little bit? He's not far ahead of Djokovic. It's not going to happen on this run. It's aggressive over the curves from Spenclose, and I wonder if that's what may have caught him out earlier on his runs. Here we go then, Spenclose about to come across the line for what is going to be a very, very decent time. It's going to be a 1:31.639, good enough for P5, not far off Djokovic, and on a set of tyres that's probably not optimal. Squidge has gone fastest with a 1:30.862, and that's interesting. Djokovic now out and out lap as well in that battle for pole position. Spenclose should be heading in. Where is Recon? What is he up to? Probably on an in lap, maybe, but I can't that six split. Yes, he is. So here we go, and run speed is on the run down to the final couple of corners. And he executes those flawlessly. Now let's see where he's going to be able to propel that Haas up to. Looking up probably a high 31 or low 32. 32.831. Not able to improve on his previous best time. Not able to improve. Djokovic is not going to be improving on this lap, I can tell you that much. Now, who is coming up behind him? I don't quite know. But Nassi is coming up on his second quick lap. With what for me feels like a bit of an awkward timing on the run, but I'm sure these guys know what they're doing. Six and 11 to go. Do you have time for 2 runs if you're nasty now? Complete this run. 4 minutes, 3 minutes to go. I should have time for another lap. Squidge now in the pit lane, holding all the cards at the moment with that previous lap, but Nassi is lapping quicker. And what is Tess going to be able to do in his Red Bull? Is he going to be able to match or improve? He's had an absolutely blistering first lap, but he'll need to match the pace now of Squidge, which is about a 10th quicker. Nassi's probably bound to go a little bit quicker than that, and didn't look like a great entry to that final set of corners, but that could have given him a brilliant exit coming out of it. It looks like it, to be fair. Now let's see what the Ferrari is made of. Coming up to the line, does not improve too much, and it was that final braking zone probably that did cost him a little bit. He does improve, but not by enough. Tess now is improving by enough to take provisional P1 back. The question is, can he keep it clean through that last braking zone when Nassi just failed to? No up there on qualifying pace as well this season, so 1:31.357 for the Maltese Ferrari man. Very good pace indeed. We've got a couple of guys out back we're going to have a look at in just a moment as well. As Tess does improve, but not by enough, stays second fastest. So Squidge at the moment with provisional pole position with a lap to go then. 4 minutes 30 remaining. JV8's out there hunting for time. So is his teammate. That's followed by Jamar, who's the previous winner around this circuit on the one occasion where we've gone racing here. Jamar went through for the win after BT took a surprise, must be said, pole position in the opening race of season 7, I believe it was. Was it even season 6? Was it that long ago? Seasons all blend together. I believe it was season 7. Oh, and Jamar's now getting a lovely little tow off the back of Wilco. Thank you very much for that. He's going to be sending him a message in the chat, hopefully after just thanking Wilco for the extra 10.42, because that was a massive tow. So Wilco's not going to be too happy with himself over that one, especially since he's competing with Jamar for position this qualifying session. And Jamar does improve, sixth fastest, 1:31.441. And you have to wonder how much at that time is that little bit of help that he got from Wilco down the Vegas Strip. You would expect it to be quite a little bit. Ipstud at the moment, sitting in last by a little over a second on Darren Stahl, not quite able to get the grips with the Vegas circuit by the look of things. It's a very tricky track, this. It's hard to set up the car for this circuit as well. You want, well, basically no downforce for going down the straight. You want a lot of downforce for going through a Sector 2 especially. Even just the first couple of corners in Sector 1, you want quite a bit of downforce for. So it is a bit tricky setting up the track here. But qualifying not going to matter as much as the race, obviously. So you have to have a good race setup on here. If not, you're screwed. The Sipstude does improve up to 132.726. That's a good lap. Challenging Ron Speed, challenging JV8, challenging Samo. So good job, Ipstude. Ahead of now Mr. Wilco, Hybrid, and Darren. Hybrid not really able to get going so far this season. Squidge now on an outlap, quicker or earlier than Tesnassi Noah. Djokovic on fast lap, so he went out earliest of the bunch. Did Djokovic for his bid for pole position. Now then, we have 2 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen, to decide the pole sitter of this Vegas Grand Prix. And this is the time where, once again, I am going to be overwhelmed by what is happening. So please excuse me for the next couple of minutes. It's going to be drunk and swambling. But we will see what goes on. Squidge has a couple of hundreds worth of advantage on Tess. Nassi is about a tenth and a half behind them. Noah, can he pull a surprise off? He's half a second behind provisional P1 time. Unlikely, but do not count him out. Djokovic, he is a 3-time NEF1 champion for a reason, but just hasn't quite been able to get up to speed so far this season in the Alpine. Can he pull one off here in Vegas? We'll wait and see. Now going through Sector 2 and into Sector 3 is going to tell us a little bit more about what kind of pace he can pull off. And it is not going to be an improvement on this lap, let me tell you that. He's going to be gearing up for another run. Recon 21 in their Mercedes. Is he going to be able to pull a decent lap off? Mr. Wilco in the Aston Martin has actually already improved up to a 132.294, so count him out probably for the rest of this session. Hybrid now on what could be his final lap. He's going to be given it one more go by the look of things. 48 seconds remaining in the session. Squidge now is on the lap that he needs to make stick. Needs to improve by a couple of attempts at least probably in order to seal pole position here. Pole position is really the track where you want it. We'll wait and see. 130.862 is the time to beat, and it is his time. I'm sure he wouldn't mind a red flag appearing in qualifying in this game. Unfortunately, that can't happen. There goes Squidge's chance at pole position, probably cutting the corner. That was unnecessary from Squidge. Just tried to hunt for time a little bit too much, and now Tessa Nass will know that this qualifying session's in their hands. Just need to beat out Squidge by that tiniest margin. What is Nassi doing? He is improving. Tess is coming up behind him. Noah just ahead of Nassi. Is he going to help his teammate out, sacrificing his own session a little bit in order to get Ferrari up into provisional P1? Or does he maybe now see a moment where he could potentially take Squidge? He's coming up from pressure from behind because Djokovic is there as well. As now we have a couple of guys not setting further times. Jamar is not, Recon is not, Iwat is not, Wilco, Samo, JV8 and Ipstude. We have Squidge on provisional P1. Nassi, is he just getting the smallest of slipstreams from Noah? Potentially, but it's not a big one if that's the case. Snixo's going to be coming up to the line, fails to improve. Then we're going to have both the Hasses. Hybrid moves up to P16. What is Ron Speed and the following Haas going to do? Not much. Noah now coming across the line. Does not improve by enough. Nassi moves into provisional P1, and is Tess going to be able to challenge? We'll wait and see. Still got a couple of more meters to go. Squidge, P2 or P3 for the Williams man. That looked so promising. Nassi's beat him out, and so does Tess, but it's not enough for pole position. Nassi takes it at the last moment, unless Beatty can pull off a second surprise in a row here. He gets further up, but is not good enough for pole position. That belongs to Nassi. Fourth for a Beatty, so that is a very, very good effort from the Canadian, who does seem to enjoy qualifying around this place. But take a bow to Nassi. Tess just not quite close enough. Within attempt still. Very impressive indeed. Squidge is there as well. Then half a second from Squidge to a B2. Just beats out Noah in the end by a couple of hundredths of a second. Spenclose in 6th. Djokovic, we find him down in 7th. It's not usual territory for Djokovic. He'll have some work to do. Jamar in 8th. Ron Speed in 9th. Recon in 10th. Wigan just missing out by a couple of tenths of a second on the top 10. He's accompanied by Snixor, Iwatts, Wilco in the top 14. Then we have Samo, Hybrid, JV8, Ipsdude and Darren Style rounding it out. But we are going to be going to a couple of minutes worth of a break after that hectic qualifying session, so don't go anywhere because the race is going to get underway before not too long. So don't go anywhere. No one start the race prematurely. That'll trigger a qualifying ban, and we'll see you in just a couple of minutes' time for full coverage of the Vegas Grand Prix here in NEF1. We'll see you in just a moment. As we can confirm, someone has readied up too early and will be getting going in just a moment. So then, Nassi is taking the formation lap from Tess and Squidge. BT in 4th with Noah in 5th. Spenclose in 6th, followed by Djokovic, Jamar, Ron Speed and Recon, P9 and P10. Wigan is 11th, followed by Snixor in 12th, Iwatts in 13th, Wilco in 14th, Samo, Hybrid, JV8, Ipsdude and Darren Style, everyone seemingly having gone away from their formation lap boxes as well. So then, whilst we just go on board with the formation lap, we're going to have a look at the standings real quick. As you can see here, Nassi is in a slim lead of the Drivers' Championship by 2 points over Test. Then a little bit of gap down to Squidge and Matty. Djokovic sitting in 5th, with Spenclose in 6th, getting 14 positions last week, mainly due to getting on the score sheet. Constructors' Championship wise, it is close. 49 points for Ferrari, 45 for Red Bull, 45 for Williams. Then equal on points between Aston Martin and Alpine, very close between McLaren, Sauber, Mercedes. RB on 1 point, Haas the only team yet to score, but we can expect a point from them very, very soon. Ron Speed is not in a bad position to get that done this week. So then the race is about to get underway then. We've not got too long to go before we line it up on the grid. It's going to be a relatively quick process, this. 25 laps worth of the Vegas Grand Prix. And will be done about 45 to 50 minutes approximately. But then Nassi, Tess, Squidge is the 3 usual suspects this season. They beat up there in 4th after a brilliant qualifying position as well as great last lap from a B2 really. Now qualifying Noah as well in 5th. He'll be a bit frustrated not getting inside our top 4. Spenclose will be a bit frustrated not being 4th behind his teammate probably as well. We'll see how they all line up alongside each other. But we've got the last couple of cars now lining it up on the grid. There's a little bit of a bend for the last guys, starting at a bit of an awkward angle. Really should just move the line a bit further up or a bit further back. But then Darren Style is lining it up on the rear row, and here we go. We are all set to go for the Vegas Grand Prix in NEF1. It is 5 red lights, and it's lights on, and away we go. And as he does get away very, very well, Tess does not. He's going to be challenged from Squidge right off the offset. Testo has the inside line for the first corner. He's going to be able to hang on round down the inside of Squidge there on the start. But Noah and Spenclose had a massive problem of start, down 12 positions each and down to last. What has happened for them? Djokovic up 2 positions, Jamar up 2 positions. Now Is Squidge gonna be able to launch an attack on Tess? Not quite. They all get away very, very clean, the top four. But what happened to Noah and Spenklos? I'm sure we're gonna find that out after the race. Hybrid down a couple of positions, so is Snixor. They were highly affected. Darren up 7 positions, Jay up 6. So that's a good opening lap for them. I was also keeping it clean, up 4 positions just off the start. So impressive stuff for them. Run Speed and Recon both up into the points. So is Jamar Djokovic, makeup just outside the top 5. Djokovic inside the top 5. Along with ABT, Squidge, Tess, and Nassi. Nassi is already, though, started to break away a little. 7/10 of a second, and you'll want to grow that to over a second as soon as you can around this place, because soon that dreaded DRS is going to become enabled, and it's going to be awful hard to defend. This is going to be a DRS train unlike you've ever seen before, potentially. And it's whomever loses DRS first that is going to be royally screwed. By the look of things right now, that might be SFLY Jamar. Just looking at the gaps, we're not going to assert anything quite yet. Squidge is actually relatively close to the back of Tess. Is not going to pull a move into the first corner. Tess actually maybe even thinking about it on Nassi. Those two won't have any love lost from each other after what happened last week, and ABT's had a problem going through the first corner, and now he's going to be sacrificing a position maybe to Run Speed to get very close to each other. BT just realizing that coming out of the corner has to just give Run Speed that extra bit of room. Run Speed now around the outside is going to be able to pull that off. To go side by side. That's an awful angle. Run Speed and BT make contact. BT's race goes from good to bad in a single couple of laps worth of in a single lap. His race has gone to shit, unfortunately. Run Speed BT with contact there, which somehow felt inevitable. I don't know how. It was a relatively short battle between the two. I'm sure we'll find out what happened just after the race. That is a shame for ABT. Let's see if he can make anything of this now. Hybrid's already been into the pit lane. He's going to be joined now by ABT. So DRS then is enabled, and Squidge is going to absolutely fly past Tess, and he's going to maybe go down the inside of Nassi. He thinks about it, but he has to stay behind for the time being. But that is the closing speed with the aid of some DRS, and second really could be quite a handy place to be this race. You've got Djokovic right there as well, and here the DRS game start, and this could actually get dangerous, this race, if not managed properly, which could end up in a massive penalty if you try doing some sort of maneuver that ends up in a incident. Could very well be described as erratic driving, which does usually hand out relatively bigger penalties in NEF1, so we'll see how everyone tackles this. But it's quite clear that Squidge did not really fancy getting up to P1. I have an idea about what he might be trying to do. The question is he maybe just trying to be as close to Nassi as possible so he can break that full second down the Vegas Strip? It is not impossible, and I don't think it's impossible to actually do so. These drivers are going to have a very good understanding of what is or is not possible, as Recon is round the back of Run Speed at the moment for 6th place, but we're just going to keep an eye on this down the Vegas Straight now to see how this little battle develops. But now then, Squidge is going to start eating into the advantage that Nassi has, and Tess is just eating into the advantage as well. But this is very, very tame at the moment, and is this the way this race is going to go? We're in for a snooze fest because no one wants to overtake each other yet. Djokovic gave it a little go on Nassi, or Djokovic gave it a little go on Tess. Nothing too aggressive. Squidge, don't think he really fancies being in the lead of this one, which is ridiculous, but what do you do? Worthy of note as well, Tess has actually started this race on the hard tyres, which could explain why he didn't get the best of starts. Run Speed is now right on the back of Recon in the Mercedes. That could be a handy little fight to watch out for over the next couple of laps. But we've actually got a couple of bigger gaps throughout the field earlier than I was expected. The DRS train might not be an issue as I thought it was going to be here. Run Speed and Recon now side by side. Run Speed has to back out Recon, just maintain the position. Now into the little less section, and got almost a bit loose for on speed there. Had to kind of back out of the whole sequence in order to maintain car control. As iWatts is right on the chuff of Wigan. These two have had a couple of battles in the NEF1 history. Nothing too spicy between the two, if I'm not mistaken. But they've shared a track on, well, probably well over 100 different occasions now. So they know each other quite well, you'd imagine. Wigan or iWatts? I'd place my money on iWatts for this little battle down the Vegas Strip. Wigan's going to have no DRS. Question is he even going to be susceptible to it? No, because Jay doesn't have DRS. But iWatts is powering his way through somehow without... Did he not open the rear wing down the Vegas Strip? That's curious if it didn't. That's very curious if he didn't. Squidge now in the lead of the Vegas Grand Prix event. Sorry we missed it. From Nasi, Djokovic and Tess has fallen back to 4th place. Yellow flags in Sector 2. It's hybrid and we have a virtual safety car. 10-second time penalty for Ipsdude for speeding in the pit lane. And now let's see if this triggers any strategy play. Got a couple of people in. Ipsdude, Wilco and Spenclose taking the advantage straight off to try to gain a couple of seconds off the back of that. And that might actually put Spenclose right back into contention for this race. If he can avoid losing any major time coming out here. Hybrid then the first retiree of this session after an incident just coming out into the end of Sector 2. Just coming onto the Vegas Strip. So Spenclose rejoins this race in last place at an 18th now and plumb last. But news fresh set of hard tires on should carry him to the end of the race, and he has already made his pit stop under the virtual safety car conditions. If there's not a full safety car or another virtual now, Spenclose might actually be in a relatively good position to gain a couple of positions off the back of this. Question is, how good are those tires pace-wise? We've seen Tess not struggle with them, but is not exactly impressed on them. I'm quite curious as to... Yeah, Jamer just surviving that restart, actually. I thought he might have gone penalised for it, because he's now right in the hunt for this battle, as well as Nassi's had a problem, and Nassi's had a big problem. That's huge for the championship, if nothing else. 3-second time penalty as well, and now he's stuck in a place that's hard to get out of. Nassi is going to fall out of the points here, and he's got a recovery drive. Jesus Christ, what went on for the Latvian? That is huge for the championship. Squidge now with a 1.7 second lead. That is something he's going to want to maintain. The cars behind him is going to be able to leapfrog each other with the DRS. But the question is, are they going to hold each other up? That could be massive. Nassi now has to put in a recovery drive like tested 2 weeks ago. But what went wrong for the Ferrari there? Did he get taken out? Did he just lose it? No clue whatsoever. Nassi's going to come out here in last. Well, very, very close to last. That's actually going to give us an indicator how good Spenclose's strategy was. Obviously, Nassi losing quite a bit of time on track as well, but he's almost eaten that up. So, say Spenclose probably about 10 seconds behind leaders Virtuoso now. Squidge maintaining the 1 second advantage over Tess for the time being, and he's going to want to maintain that for as long as possible. Let's see if Djokovic can just slow Tess down a little bit with a bit of a battle down the Vegas Strip. Wouldn't you fancy seeing that? Squidge now in the lead in command of this race, and I'm sure he's going to want to stay there. Tess is going to be doing everything he can in order to eat up that advantage. See how good the mediums versus the hard tires are. Tess might just have the edge in racecraft between V2. Jamas just trying to hang on to the back of Djokovic at the moment, saying, please do not leave me alone with this battle. I want to be involved in this. But he is a one-time race winner around this circuit, is Jamas. Multiple-time race winner in the NEF1. Do not forget that. So Nassi now you would expect to have put on a set of hard tires. Yes, they have. So just going to keep an eye on that as things develop, as we have yellow flags, and that is Nassi's had another problem, and he's now sitting well and truly last. And what is going on for Nassi here? Oh, he's not having a good race. And now I see having to make another pit stop. Front wing damage on the Ferrari, and oh, this race is going from bad to worse. Nassi. Oh, what is happening? What is happening for Nassi tonight? It is not going well. Front wing change. Probably another set of hard tyres to get him to the end. I don't know. Is that soft tyres? Aggressive from Nassi. That is really aggressive. Probably just hoping for a safety car at this point. Tess has caught the back of Squidge now. And he's brought Djokovic into the battle. And Tess is now probably going to take the lead at the Vegas Grand Prix. And Djokovic might just sail along with him. Just quite can't get that move done. But Tess has sailed into the lead at the Vegas Grand Prix. And now let's see if he can just pull a bit of a gap on that hard tyre, which is going to give you a bit of an indication on how it is for race pace. As Rika now is under heavy pressure from Ron Speed behind. He's trying to put pressure on Iwas, but Ron Speed is he's actually pushing him round the final corner. Got to be careful in order to not cause some sort of spin there. And he's got Wigan down his inside in turn 1, and these two, if I'm not mistaken, have made contact before. Ron Speed and Wigan, if I'm not mistaken, through Mags and Beckett's on the opening race. Keeping it clean on that occasion, though. Tess, Squidge, Djokovic is the top 3. Jamar in 4th, with Iwatts in 5th. Nassi is all the way down to last and well outside contention right now. Well outside of contention. It's all gone wrong for Nassi so far this evening. Let's see if he can somehow magically recover this, but he is probably closer to being lapped than he is the back of the pack that he wants to be hunting down for the points. Speaking about points as well, if the race finishes the way it is right now, we'll have in 3 races all points on the score sheet, which would be a really, really nice competitive thing to have. But at the moment, this race is going to do weird things to the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull probably going to go ahead with Tess and Iwas relatively high placed up for the time being. Ferrari going to fall massively behind, and I'm sure Squidge would like Spenclose further up there. But he's now in some sort of battle, I'd suspect, with Noah and maybe Snicks or further along. Wait and see. Ron Speed, 3-second time penalty, multiple track limit warnings. He's still just trying to get past Wigan. As Djokovic, 10-second time penalty for speeding into pit lane, and this is not going well for anyone right now. Tess and Squidge, can they keep it clean? Tess is now massively pulled away from Squidge, actually 1.9 seconds. Squidge has to do something strategic now in order to try to beat out Tess, because he's going to be rapid on the mediums kind of the end of the race. Or is the hard a brilliant race tire? Djokovic now out of contention with that 10-second time penalty. It's brutal, the 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I'd much rather have it be 5. But it is what it is. Thank you, Codemasters, for coding the game in a... Well, it's a brutal way. Don't speed in the pit lane. It's quite an easy thing to avoid. Just go a kilometer slower than what's needed, and you'll avoid that for the entire season. It's a stress thing, mainly. Nassi now, fastest lap, and that point will belong to him no matter where he finishes, if he can keep it. So it is some sort of recovery. But this race is really flipped on its head. You have Spenclose and Noah battling all the way down there. They started high up. Nassi started on pole position. Beatty started in 4th. They're all battling outside the points right now, and that's where they actually are. That is where they actually are for the remainder of this race for the time being. And the DRS train that I predicted has not happened. Instead, we have probably the most spread out field that we've had all season. Wiggins coming into the pit lane. He's very careful on the pit entry. But that only cost him 2 seconds. It didn't cost him 10. So it's a pros and cons thing. Noah, freezing time penalty, multiple track limit warnings. Hard tyres go on for Wigan. Those will get him to the end, but I'm kind of hoping for a safety car right now. Pardon me, Tess. But I just feel like it would spice things up in an interesting way, because we are starting to get quite a bit of field spread right now. Wigan is now behind his teammate Djokovic with a 10-second time penalty. How does Alpine now play this? Does Djokovic start blocking for Wigan in this scenario? We'll wait and see, but Wigan right now the best chance of scoring some decent points for Alpine unless Djokovic can take off on this second stint. We know what kind of pace he's capable of. So we'll hold on any comments for the time being. But we now have no battles going on throughout the field. For the first time in NEF1 this season, no one is going to be overtaking each other on this lap probably. Maybe Wigan on Djokovic, but it's an inter-teammate battle, and one that, well, we know the history of these two drivers. They're not going to be properly going at it for position probably. They'll just be switching. Samos made his way up into the top 6. Squidge is coming into the pit lane. This is going to trigger all sorts of things. Hard ties going on the back of that. Williams, now let's see where it's going to come out. You expect around just out of JV8 in 7th. So now let's see what kind of pace he can pull off. Needs to be lapping a couple of seconds faster than Tess in order to make this work, to pull himself back into this race. But Tess is going to be on those mediums as soon as he comes out of pit lane, a couple of laps time. But Tess can't pit now, is the only thing that speaks for Squidge here. But this race really is Tess's to lose right now. As Samo's now pushing Ron Speed around the track. Samo's really seeming comfortable on that set of hard tires at the moment. The question is, can he keep those going to the end of the race? If he can, he's on for a really good point haul. If he can maintain this this decent level of pace as well. Needs to get past Ron Speed, but that's likely to happen now, isn't it? Now Ron Speed's not going to put up too much of a fight on that one. Here we go. Now, just how far ahead can Samo actually get of Ron Speed by the end of the Vegas trip? Not actually too far. Okay, Ron Speed can just tug into the slipstream, and it does drag him along quite well. That's actually nice to see. You get ahead, basically the first thing you do coming onto the straight, but you can't pull away by over a second. Darren's up to P6 as well for what would be his first points of the season. It would be nice to see. As now J-Mar goes into the pit lane as well on his set of mediums. So we have a Red Bull 1-2 of Tess and Iwatts. And, well, safety car now would be interesting, wouldn't it? That would give us a top 3 of Tess, Iwatts, and Sam Obama. So a lot of Red Bull on that podium at the moment. Darren Stahl in 4th. In the Saubers. Squidge now trying to get past him for P4, and he's going to be able to do so relatively easy. Darren does realise that's not quite the battle to pick for this one. And now I got some stuff going on further back. His Snicks are getting past JV8, and Spenclose is round the back of Noah. These two are used to battling each other. Let's see how it ensues. P11 and P12 for the pair of though. P10 and P11, sorry. For a pair of them, and I'm sure it's not what they thought they were going to be. Potentially these two had a moment on lap 1, which is to be investigated. We'll wait and see. Spenclose and Noah. I'm coming onto the strip. I think we can already start telling which way this is going to go, unless Noah can just break a bit closer to the back of Ron Speed, which by the look of things he can, and that's going to frustrate Spenclose a little bit. Would have fancied that DRS. Squidge now past DRB of Samo Bamo, and free to go after Iwatts. The gap is 20 seconds up to the lead now. Don't know if that's closing or opening further. This test is looking really good on that hard time. The question is, how much does he want to drag this out for? What tire does he want to go on to later? Nassi's not making the kind of progress he needs on the soft that he's still going to have to replace later on in this race. Nassi, I think we can come to the conclusion, unless we have a safety car now, is well and truly out of contention for any meaningful results here. Maybe a point for fastest lap, maybe just going to be able to scrape a P10 with a bit of carnage ahead, but those incidents on around lap 5-6 really costly. But we got half the race to go. We're on lap 13 out of 25 with one virtual safety car, No full safety cars as of yet, which is a bit surprising. Not overly surprising. Djokovic just getting into the DRS zone of Jamer now. He's actually left Wigan far behind. 7.3 seconds. He's left his teammate behind by, you'd expect to try to pull him along inside the DRS, but that hasn't happened. It's left Wigan very vulnerable to run speed. But it also means Djokovic's not far off having that 10-second margin that he needs to quit that penalty. And this might be the start of a lovely little DRS train. It's Wigan at the front, Run Speed, Noah and Spenklos, all very competent drivers, and all wanting to you'd suspect that especially Spenklos and Noah will want to clear this as soon as possible. Run Speed and Wigan might realise that they're stuck in this little battle for a while longer as Run Speed tries something quite opportunistic. And is he going to make that work? Yes! Run Speed, welcome to NEF1, buddy. That was a nice little move. That was a very nice little move on Wigan 71, who, I'm not even going to say left the door open. Run Speed just saw an opening, went for it. That's a class move. That was an absolute class move by Run Speed 19. So then, Wigan in P9, Noah in P10, Spenklos in 11th. Whereas his teammate is closing. He's not closing by margin. Tess is 16.8 seconds out in front. So the scene of this championship is about to change drastically by the look of things. NASI is going to have catching up to do for races on races on races now. As here we go then, Tess goes into the pit lane, comes out on a set of medium tyres, and he comes out almost 2 seconds out in front on a fresh set of tyres. I think that can cement that Tess is going to have a pretty pleasant evening in Vegas from here on out. Unless Squidge can do anything brilliant, then we are looking at a likely 1-2 result of Tess and Squidge in that order. The third podium position, that's gonna be quite interesting. Djokovic's coming up to it. He's got a 10-second time penalty. Samo and Darren probably not gonna want to pit again. Jamer's up there as well. Iwatts is not far behind for a set of mediums. 6.5 seconds. He can bring that in. Is this the chance for Darren or Samo to potentially get the first podium in the F1? Because they're not going to want to pit. I would have done almost full race distance on those tyres. You kind of have to look at Jamer in this scenario as well as a likely podium finisher. As Nassi now has been into the pit lane for a set of hard tyres to see him out to the end of the race. As Wilco has retired from this race, and is that going to trigger a safety car? It is! And that is just what the doctor ordered for Nassi, because now he's going to be able to dive into the pit lane, slap on a set of mediums potentially, and get this done. Samo, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Why have you done that? And BT, drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. It is all bad for certain people under the safety cars and VSCs. Now, oh, and tough luck for Squidge there, not going into pit, because he now, oh, this might slaughter up Squidge on the restart this. Should he have gone in for a set of mediums? If he hadn't, he might have been out of them, realistically. But could you have potentially made a set of softs? Djokovic deems you could have made a set of softs. So does Snixor. Obviously Tess can't pit as he's in the leader race. He'd lose quite a lot of positions. stuck between a rock and a hard place. But this is a weird situation at the moment. Nasi's coming in. You'd suspect for a set of soft tires, and this is going to allow Nasi to put on a comeback. A lot of people have gone onto mediums. You'd suspect softs goes on that Ferrari now, just for a gamble, something different, and they do. So then, that has flipped this race on its head. Let us flip this race on its head in a number of ways. And it has brought Nasi right back into it, potentially, with at least being able to battle for positions now, thankfully. But then, Tess remains in lead of this Grand Prix. Squidge is in the unfortunate position of being on scrubbed hard tires for the restart. Iwat's behind him on 2-lap all mediums. He's actually got a very, very decent chance at the podium now, does Iwat's, along with Sam Obama and Darren Style. Jamer in 6th, followed by JV8 in 7th, Djokovic in 8th. He's now gotten rid of his 10-second time penalty, mind you, with that pit stop. So that is good news for the Alpine. Ron Speed in 9th, Noah in 10th. Spenklos just on the cusp in P11. And here are the penalties that are yet to be applied. 10 seconds for Sam Obama, 3 seconds for Ron Speed, 3 seconds for Noah, 6 seconds for Ipsdude, 3 for Nasi, drive-through penalty for a BT. A lot of pit stops for certain people. Nasi up to 4 pit stops this race. Look at the position gain. It is chaos inside the top 7. Iwat's up 10 positions, Samo up 11, Darren up 14, Jay up 10. A lot of things has been going on, but we're actually gonna want the tire graph up now, because this is gonna play a massive part. We've got the last couple of guys coming up now. BT is not gonna be able to serve that drive-through before the safety car comes in, which is gonna be probably in another lap. Hope that everyone's going to be able to catch the back of it. If Stu Nasi beat, he might just be kind of close. But Nasi and Ipsdude are likely to get up to the back of them on the back of the Vegas strip here. That's going to be a very quick closing speed from the pair, so Ipsdude, be prepared for that. You're going to be coming up to them quick. So if I were you, I'd probably start letting off quite soon. Safety car will be staying out for yet one more lap, though. As I shall stand corrected as well, we raced in round 1 for season 6 in Vegas and round 16 in season 7. So it's not the second time we're here, it's the third time. I do apologize about that little communications error. I'm quite bad at keeping track of what tracks we've been at recently, which is a bit awkward since I'm usually the one that sets the calendar, so I'm always the one that sets the calendars basically, which makes it a bit more awkward that I'm not actually keeping track of what it is I've done. But let's just move past that. Tess, Squidge and Iwatts then is the top 3 on the restart. Samo is 4th, but he's got a massive penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. Or not speeding under the safety car, sorry, I think it was speeding in the pit lane that got him. As he dived in to get a new set of tyres on, just safety car came out. Jamer in 6th, he was in a good position. Now that position has been made slightly worse with this safety car. I'm sure he would have done without, actually. I'm sure Nasi is absolutely thrilled to have had the safety car. He's now going to try to make his way through these slightly slower than him guys and get up into the top 10 to try to salvage as much as he can from this. The question is now, is the safety gun going to turn those lights off? lights are still on. Are we doing another lap on the safety car conditions? Leaving it late if that's the case. No, the safety car is coming in this lap. Tess is the safety car before we get this race restarted. And this is the one place where restarting a race probably quite tricky, because there's nothing but straight, which means it would be quite predictable where someone's going to restart it is going to be whilst giving people as little a slipstream as possible. Tess then weaving like a madman to get a heat into the tyres. Squidge is actually staying relatively calm. When does Tess decide to go? He decides to go a bit earlier than I thought, actually. That catches Squidge out. It massively catches iWatts out. No overtaking before the control line, which is now. Darren might be looking aggressive already on Samo. Bamo and McLaren's looking racy on him. That's Jamar trying to go around the outside of the Sauber, not successfully. Djokovic, though, is already up in position on JV8, who has got caught out on the set of hard tyres. He would have had to get rid of those because Ron Speed is riding his chuff as well. The two are going to go side by side into the next corner, probably with Ron Speed's better braking, and Ron Speed's going to have JV8 probably without too much trouble. Jace actually finding that one relatively hard. Kudos to him. Can he stay ahead? Points could have been possible for JVA potentially, but he's on the very, very wrong tyre. Nassi now is trying to fight his way back up. He's passed Beat, he's passed Wigan briefly, doing battle with Ipstud. But we got to agree, oh no, and it's that Nassi again that's had an issue, for goodness sake. And this race, it just doesn't want to come to Nassi at all, this race. And in the same place where he had his initial incident, he got a second chance on the restart, and something's gone wrong for him again. And you've got to feel for him at this point. Tess has been able to massively break away on this restart as well. 1.8 seconds now the gap. iWatts trying to stick with Squidge. Squidge, I'm sure he would have actually probably done without the safety car as well in hindsight. But he would have had to switch tyres. Squidge should have switched tyres to probably a set of softs in hindsight, but that's an easy thing to have. So then the battle for the second and third podium spot is on. I think Squidge should be taking one of them, but who's going to be taking the second? Is it going to be iWatts? Is it going to be Darren? Is it going to be Djokovic on the softs? He's putting a move on Darren Stahl, his fellow countryman, round the outside into turn 5. And he's getting that move done every single day of the week. Better braking, up to P5, provisionally P4, because Samo has a massive time penalty that could well see him outside the points come the end of this. Now, a question I'm interested in, is Ron Speed going to be able to pick up Haas's first points of the season and pick up a point for every team this season whilst doing so? After only 3 races, that'd be quite something. But it is a close field this season, as you can see right now, because now those trains are beginning to form. We're going to have battles all the way through these next couple of races. But I absolutely feel for Nassi with the way this race has gone for him. He got a second chance and something went wrong for him. He's not one to drop it of his own. We'll have to wait and see what happened to him. But it was quite heavy battling there for a moment. As iWatts is now actually past Squidge 2017, who's on that set of hard tyre, and it's that tyre a bit inferior maybe. Is iWatts potentially going to be able to lock in a P2 here? It's going to be tricky for him. I'm sure he'd actually love his teammates' help in this situation. He's not going to get it, I can tell you that. He's going to want to stay as clear of this as possible. And I'm sure iWatts won't actually mind backing everyone up even further. Darren now behind Jamar. So Djokovic at the moment is on his way potentially to that podium. He is closing into the back of Squidge and also iWatts in that regard. He's on a set of soft tyres. How much pace can he extract from that soft in clear air is the question. You'd suspect he's going to empty his battery on this Vegas strip now in order to get ahead of his competitors and see if there's just a slight chance of him being able to get ahead. Vegas strip then, here we go, on lap 21 out of 25. Not got too many runs here to go, but Djokovic surely is going to give it quite a bit. and is weaving for the Red Bull, is weaving for the William. Djokovic is just staying behind on that tyre, but he's going to have better braking performance. 3 wide, and Djokovic is going to take P2 away from them both with the better slipstream, and now he is on the better tyre as well. To potentially be able to try and break away from Squidge would be crucial for him. Leave him alone in battle with Watts for that last podium place. Djokovic now has his eyes set on the leader, and it's actually closing by a rapid amount right now. The gap was 3.1, is now 2.4, but DRS could have quite a bit to do with it. Oh, and you can just see that car twitching. But this race is something Djokovic desperately needed as well. As Dominic asking, is Nasi Latvian? Yes, he is. Okay, so Djokovic's progress has now halted back to 2.93 seconds worth of a gap. So Tez has just picked up the pace a little bit. The DRS probably helping out here. Samo now trying to get past DRB, or the Red Bull, sorry, of Watts, and do so successfully. That's going to piss Watts off quite a bit, seeing how Samo does have the penalty and 2 make contact, and that might... Oh, that's a bit clumsy. Watts going past Samo in P5 now. Jamer in P6, followed by Darren in 7th on his way to his first points this season. Penalties will be applied. Samo should really just be focusing on his own race right now, because this is holding up everyone, including himself, for a worse finishing position. Squidge cannot get by the Alpine of Djokovic for the time being, but he might just be leaving it to the last lap of the Grand Prix if he can hold on. We're now on lap 23 out of 25, and Tess the commanding lead out front, and I suspect he will not be caught. Spen close at the moment outside the points in 11th. He's trying to get closer to Darren Stahl. Darren Stahl, who's had an issue, was up at a P6 or 7 quite recently. Now down in 10th and battling away to even score a point this race, which would be a shame to see him without points, because he thoroughly deserves them. We have penalties to be applied though. We have for Snix or Ron Speed, we have penalties for Noah and Samo, with a relatively big one out front. So a lot is going to change. Nasi now into the pit lane, you would suspect, for a new set of soft tyres and a go at the fastest lap point, a point that could prove crucial come the end of the season. If nothing else, might just console him a little bit for what has been a miserable evening in Vegas on the eve of the 3rd race of the NEF1 season. It's not the end of the American Tour. That'll be next week in Miami. As Noah Van flies past Watts in a straight line down the Vegas Strip with DRS, but can't just break away at the end of the straight. And on the back of Samo Bamo. So I think we can lock in the podium of Tess, Djokovic and Squidge at the moment. Would have loved to see a surprise podium for maybe someone like a Noah and Watts. Jamar's out of this race, and is that going to trigger anything? Former race winner around here. What has happened to him? We're not going to be able to see, unfortunately, because he's going to be despawned by the time Nasi gets there. The game's not going to trigger a safety car on the second to last lap, which is why we didn't just get one, because we are on lap 24 out of 25 now. Only a lap and a half to go. Squidge or Djokovic, and it's going to come down to the Vegas Strip for the last time probably, and this is where the games are going to start, because Djokovic will now want Squidge to just go past him. Go past me, please. I don't fancy sitting ahead here. And Squidge is probably going to shut off his battery, not open his rear wing, and say, nah, I'm quite happy, son. I'm quite happy just sitting here chilling, having a cold one, and I'll see you in exactly a lap's time. Wait and see how that little battle goes. Noah 48 then past Sam Obama in a straight line down to Vegas Strip for P4, which he could hold on to. Likely that Watts takes that P4 away. But it'd be a really good week for Red Bull and the constructors. Let me tell you, Van, it'd be a really good way. It'd be a really good points finish for iWatts this as well if he can hang on to it, which I really hope he does. Darren's into the points. Darren is P9 at the moment. Spenclow's wigging are outside of them. Nassi's hunting the fastest lap, and so is JV8. As we are now on lap 25 out of 25. Djokovic versus Squidge is going to come down to the next couple of meters, next couple of kilometers probably. As I was just now falling back a little bit on Sam Obama, but it doesn't have to be too close to him. He's going to inherit those positions on penalties as long as he can keep it clean, which I don't doubt he'll have an issue with at this stage. Djokovic has probably tried all he can to get past or to get Squidge past him. It's not going to happen. Nassi takes the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and I don't think anyone's going to beat it. Yellow flags, and that is Snick. Or potentially is that an issue? I don't quite know. There's a couple of reshufflings. Darren Spenclose is now at the bottom of the top 10. They're right behind Run Speed with a penalty. Can Run Speed hold on to the points? I think he can. But here we go then, down the Vegas Strip for the last time this race. Djokovic, he tried to get P2. Unfortunately unsuccessfully because the Vegas Strip happened and Squidge had the better tires. Tess with a masterclass, and for the first time this season we have a winner that is not separated by less than a second. Tess takes the win in Vegas and retakes the championship lead. Squidge with a brilliant P2, two consecutive P2s, 3 consecutive podiums if I'm not mistaken as well. Brilliant for Squidge. Good rebound from Djokovic this as well. Could have been P2, ended up being P3, but that is another podium for the reigning champion indeed. P4 for iWatts, his best result of the season, his best result if I'm not mistaken since the win back in Silverstone last season as well. Forgive me if I am mistaken about that. It was a brilliant result from iWatts and a brilliant race and a driver of the day performance indeed. Noah 48, P5 with Recon in P6, Darren in P7 in the end, so it's a good race from him. Spenclose in 8th, Run Speed in 9th, sees every team on the score sheet and has on the score sheet. Sam Obama in P10. Rounding off the points, fastest lap I would suspect goes to Nassi unless Jake can pull off a shocker here with just a couple of seconds to go. Let's see if we can actually get that fastest lap up, and that is going to belong to Nassi indeed. So then, there is your podium finishes in this test for the second time this season, taking the top honours in that Red Bull. And could that become a little dynasty this season? We'll wait and see. It's 2 out of 3 possible for a test this season. Championship lead is now well and truly established at the top after a really tough race for Nassi 31. Let's see if he can rebound in Miami next week. A drag where Tess could potentially struggle a little bit from what we've had. We'll wait and see. He said he was going to struggle for this one as well, and he pulled out the most dominant win this season. Squidge in P2, then Djokovic in P3, going through the points run again. iWatts in 4th, Noah in 5th, Recon in 6th, Darren in 7th, Spenclose in 8th, Ron Speed in 9th, and Samo in 10th. But then, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this edition of the NEF1 Championship. It's a spicy race indeed, says Matty in the comment section. Hope to have you back next week in Miami. Basically, your second home race. So hope to have him back by then. Congratulations to Tess. Commiserations to Nassi after a tough one. Also, big congratulations to Squidge and Djokovic for the podiums and well-earned points. The championship is well and truly on still, though. Got a lot of races to go. Round 3 is completed then out of 18. On to round 4 in Miami in a week's time. Until then, stay safe everyone. We'll see you in 7 days. Have a good one, and peace out.